Hello, everyone. I am Gertrude Sachekar. As a professional, I have the best of two worlds. On one hand, more than 20 years of experience in the financial industry, and on the other, the skills and superpowers of an associate certified coach. I specialize in leadership, emotional intelligence, and positive intelligence. Today, we are going to talk about how to improve impulse control and strategies for managing emotions and reacting thoughtfully. I'll start with an introduction, then the definition of impulse control, the indicators of low impulse control, the importance of impulse control, challenges, how to develop it, and the key takeaways. When you put a pot of water on the stove and cover it, what happens once the water starts boiling? The steam builds up pressure inside, pushing against the lid and sometimes causing the water to spill or the lid to displace. But when we remove the lid or move it slightly to let the steam escape, there is no mess. Something similar happens with our emotions. One of my clients, David, wanted to work on improving his impulse control. His colleagues described him as a hothead, comparing him to the red character in the movie Inside Out. His low impulse control was damaging his relationships, especially at work. In the book The EQ Edge, Drs. Steven Stein and Howard Book define impulse control as the ability to resist or delay an impulse, drive, or temptation to act. Impulse control entails avoiding rash behaviors and decision-making, being composed, and able to put the brakes on angry, aggressive, hostile, and irresponsible behavior. If you answer always or almost always to these statements, you have low impulse control. I make rash decisions when I'm emotional. I interrupt when others are speaking. My impulsiveness creates problems for me. I am impulsive. When I start talking, it is hard to stop. I tend to react hastily. It is difficult for me to control my impulses. It is hard for me to resist temptation. Impulse control applies to emotions considered negative, like anger, frustration, stress, or disappointment, as well as to those considered positive, like excitement, pride, or optimism. Thankfully, impulse control can be learned and developed. People with effective impulse control have the mental space to think before reacting. Each of us has a gap, buffer, or impulse gate between the emotions we feel and our reaction. For some, this buffer is sufficient to allow the emotion to pass and choose an appropriate response. For others, there is no buffer or the gate is defective and wide open, leaving no space between the emotion and the reaction. Luckily, we can all learn how to fix the gate or create the buffer. So how can we develop more effective impulse control? Start by naming the feeling. Many of us are not fluent in the vocabulary of feelings or emotions. Like learning a new language, we can start with basic words to identify what we are experiencing. Am I sad, angry, scared, or happy? As we learn more, we can identify specific emotions like disappointment, joy, anxiety, etc. For example, when you have to repeat something for the nth time at work or at home, are you annoyed, frustrated, or exasperated? If you are new to this language of emotions, don't worry. Even naming the basic category, anger, sadness, fear, disgust, or enjoyment, is a solid starting point. Second, identify the activating event. When we experience strong emotions, there is usually an activated event, something that occurred and resulted in us feeling sad, happy, scared, etc. Imagine working towards a deadline and someone is late in delivering their part. You were counting on this person and they didn't do what they were supposed to do. This activating event might make you feel angry, frustrated, or disappointed, resulting in less than productive behaviors. Third, capture your beliefs. These are the messages we tell ourselves or the interpretation of the activating event. In the example above, we might think, I knew this would happen. You can't trust anybody. If I want something done around here, I have to do it myself. Or they did this on purpose, so I look bad, and then they can take my job. Next, lawyer up. Actively debate, dispute, and discard each belief from step 3. Where is the objective, verifiable evidence supporting each belief? What alternative, more logical reasons are there for the activating event? In our example, you might think, my colleague has been a great partner throughout this project. I didn't actually know this would happen. I wonder what's going on. Or, we have talked about career interests, and my colleague has no desire in doing my job. Write down the effects. What are the effects of debating, disputing, and/or discarding each belief? How has your perception of the activating event changed? In the example of the missing deadline, you might reach out to your colleague to check in. This shows empathy and prevents damaging the relationship. By creating the buffer or impulse gate, you can choose how to respond to the situation and identify the best way to obtain the final document. If you can't write down the effects immediately, at least think them through or say them aloud. The objective is to articulate them clearly. As we practice these 5 steps, we create a space between the emotion and the reaction, similar to moving the lid so the steam can escape. When we create that space, that buffer, we make decisions and take actions with awareness, becoming masters of our emotions instead of being at their mercy. Controlling our impulses is different from suppressing our emotions. The objective is to create a space between the emotion we feel and the behavior it might drive. These 5 steps may seem to take a long time, especially when we want to control our impulses. When I first tried this technique, it took a while to complete each step. With practice, I noticed that I could go through the process quickly. Use this tool as soon as you sense the emotion arising. Like many things in life, the more we do it, the easier and more natural it gets and feels. The ripple effect is expansive. Our colleagues, family members, friends, and community will feel the anabolic energy we bring. How do you increase your buffer or fix your impulse gate? Let us know in the comments. Thank you so much for listening. Please include your responses in the comments. And for more content, remember to subscribe to my channel. See you again soon.